If you say the wrong thing, you can turn a simple stop into handcuffs in minutes. If you say the right thing, you can shut down a huge part of that pressure fast. Hit subscribe right now because what I am about to show you could save you from saying one sentence that wrecks your whole case. Well, like this video before you forget, because you do not want to try to remember this while your heart is pounding on the side of the road. Here's what you're about to learn. The 3 words that can legally stop custodial questioning. The 1 sentence that cuts off those mind if I look around traps. The question that tells you if the stop is still active or if the officer is just trying to keep you talking. And the Supreme Court cases behind all of it in plain English, so you actually remember it when you need it. Let me show you exactly how this works in real life. You do not need to argue. You do not need to act tough. You do not need to know fancy legal words. You just need a few clean lines and the calm to repeat them. Here's the reality. Most people lose their rights, 1 nervous sentence at a time, and they do it while trying to seem helpful. Now, let us talk about why this matters so much to you. A traffic stop feels small. It feels routine. You think if you are polite and open, you will get out faster. But that is usually when your problems start. Officers are trained to ask questions that sound casual. Where are you coming from? Where are you headed? You got anything illegal in the car? Mind if I take a quick look? Those questions are not small talk. They are evidence fishing. Most people have no idea when the stop changes from a ticket into an investigation. And once you start chatting, you give them details to compare, twist, and test. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. Drivers talk because silence feels awkward. Then the officer hears one odd detail, spots one nervous move, and suddenly the stop gets longer, sharper, and much worse for you. The first tactic is the line that tells you what kind of moment you're really in. You ask, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Word for word. Memorize that line. Say it calm. Say it once. If the stop is over, that question forces a choice. The officer either lets you go or makes it clear you're still being held. That matters because your rights change depending on what is happening. Let me show you exactly why this works. A lot of stops turn weird after the ticket is basically done. Your license is back in your hand. The warning is written. Then the officer leans in and says, hey, before you go, can I ask you something? That sounds friendly, but it can be a trap. If you keep standing there and answering, you may have turned a required stop into a voluntary chat. And voluntary chats are dangerous because you keep giving them more to work with. Here's the trick they do not want you knowing. Your goal is not to win an argument. Your goal is to find out if you can leave. That one question does exactly that. Bad way. Most drivers say, sure, what is up? Then the stop stretches into more questions, more pressure, and sometimes a search request. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the officer has to show his hand and you stop helping build the case against you. This is 100% legal. You are not resisting. You're not being rude. You're asking a basic question about your freedom. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it changes the whole tone of the encounter. It tells the officer, you know the difference between a lawful detention and a fishing trip. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Rodriguez v. United States, the court said, a traffic stop cannot be stretched past its mission just to go on a drug hunt without more reason. In plain English, once the job of the stop is done, they do not get free extra time just to keep poking around. Watch what happens when you ask that line at the right moment. If they say you're free to go, leave quietly. If they say you're still detained, now you know this is no longer casual, and you stop volunteering anything extra. There is one more reason this tactic protects you. In Ohio v. Robinette, the court made clear police do not have to tell you that you are free to go before asking for consent to search. That means you cannot sit there waiting for some magic release speech. You have to ask. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it helps show whether the contact was really voluntary or not. Here's the reality. If you do not ask, you may never know the stop was already over, and you may talk yourself straight into trouble. Have you ever been kept talking after the ticket was basically done? Drop a comment below and tell me if you would have asked that question, because the next line is the one that saves your car. The second tactic is the line that blocks the easiest shortcut into your vehicle. You look at the officer and say this, I do not consent to any searches. Those exact words, short, clean, no extra explanation, no jokes, no nervous smile, just that line. This matters because officers ask for consent all the time, not because they already have enough proof, but because consent is fast. If you say yes, they do not need to fight over a warrant. They do not need to explain much. You just handed them the keys, legally speaking. And the scary part is this. You can sound unsure and still get treated like you agreed. So your words need to be clear. I do not consent to any searches. Word for word. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess it is fine. I have nothing to hide. Then the search starts and anything found becomes your problem. Good way. Smart drivers say, I do not consent to any searches. Then you keep your legal protection, and the officer has to rely on actual lawful grounds instead of your nervous permission. Listen closely, because this is critical. Saying no does not guarantee the officer walks away. They may still search if they claim another legal reason, but your refusal still matters a lot. Why? Because if the search gets challenged later, your clear refusal helps show you never gave up your rights. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when an officer tries the casual consent trick. This is 100% legal. You do not have to open your trunk because they asked nicely. You do not have to let them just take a quick look. You do not have to prove you are innocent by giving up privacy. And this is where people really hurt themselves. They think refusal makes them look guilty. No. Refusal makes you look informed. Police are allowed to ask. You're allowed to say no. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Ohio v. Robinette, the court said police do not have to tell you that you are free to go before seeking consent. In plain English, that means the system expects you to protect your own space. If you do not say no, the law may treat your silence, shrug, or weak maybe as cooperation. Watch what happens when you refuse calmly. The whole encounter changes. The officer now has to decide whether he truly has legal grounds, or whether he was hoping you would just hand it over. Let me show you exactly what calm looks like. The officer says, "Mind if I check your car?" You say, I do not consent to any searches." The officer asks again. You repeat the same line. The officer tries the guilt move. "If you have got nothing to hide, why not?" You say, "I do not consent to any searches." That is it. No speech, no anger, no debate. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it is simple and hard to twist. And if you are wondering whether officers notice that calm, they do. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it removes the easy yes they often get from scared drivers. Still watching? Good. Drop a like if this is already changing how you would handle a stop, because now we get to the title line, and this is the part people mess up most. The third tactic is the 3-word power move for when the stop turns into custody. Here are the 3 words. I want counsel. That is the short version. If you want the longer version, say, I want a lawyer. Both are clear. Both are direct. Both tell police you are invoking your right to legal help. And once you clearly ask for a lawyer during custodial questioning, they are supposed to stop interrogating you. Now I need you to hear one important detail. This line is strongest once you are in custody, like after arrest or when you're not free to leave. It is not a magic spell for every roadside question before that point. But if you're cuffed in the back seat or at the station, this line is gold. I want counsel. Word for word, memorize it. Bad way. Most drivers say, maybe I should get a lawyer. Then questioning can keep going. Good way. Smart drivers say, I want counsel. Then the request is clear and crisp. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings in Davis versus United States. The court said police do not have to stop just because you hint at wanting a lawyer. In plain English, maybe I need a lawyer is weak. Those lines sound like you're thinking out loud. The court basically said, if your request is fuzzy, police can keep talking. Miranda v. Arizona is the case that gave us the right to remain silent and to a lawyer. But rights do not protect you if you keep chatting. That is why you need the line, I want counsel. The 4th tactic is what you pair with the lawyer request. I'm invoking my right to remain silent. Berghuis versus Thompkins says sitting quietly is not enough. You must say it clearly. Now let us put the legal map together. Find out the status by asking, am I free to leave? Protect your car by saying, I do not consent to any searches. Be calm and repetitive. In a real stop, if the officer hands back your warning and then asks questions, do not start chatting. Calmly ask if you are free to leave. If things get worse, ask for counsel and invoke silence. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when police claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now. Lock this in. Be clear, calm, and repetitive. That is where your power is. Stay safe out there.